We're back. We're here with Bill Askenburg. He is the chair of the Roberts Field Improvement Committee.
Mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, I got to get this right, otherwise it sounds silly. But appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I know you guys have conducted a number of input sessions and committee meetings. Kind of give us an update on what's going on with the Roberts Field.
Will do. I think we've tried to put the drive and committee-driven process here. So we've done quite a lot of surveys and public input sessions, like you said. We've actually got a public input session coming up on Tuesday, June 20th at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the police station headquarters training room.
Okay.
And that's one of my main reasons for being here tonight, is to encourage people to come out and let us know what they think about the plans and the site plan, and also the recommendation that we have for the master plan as well. The process started a couple years ago. We've had a number of meetings. We had really our first public park user survey that happened in January of 2016, and with that survey we kind of identified how people use the park and really how the features and the improvements that they wanted to see happen at the park. So we took that list, and then also we gathered, there were a lot of comments about things that people wanted to see improved, but also things that people felt weren't being properly maintained, and a lot of stuff like that. So we tried to gather all that information, and over the last 2.5 years, we've tried to answer all those questions, and I think we've gotten to a point now where we're ready to sort of roll out the master plan recommendation and see what the public feels about it. So
now it looks like you guys have put together a pretty extensive document, and actually well constructed. I got to give you guys a lot of credit. It's an easy read. Anyone that's looking to at least get more information about what's going on there, I think you guys have detailed a lot of what's already been given as public input. So if there's more, this meeting on the 20th would be really that opportunity to come out and add to what's already been done? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. The plan is what we've tried to do is talk to as many different community groups, park users, anyone basically that will listen to us for a few minutes to give us their input, and taken that input and really talked about it, discussed it in open session, and included that in the document. So we've got a pretty expansive document, but a lot of the information in there I think is really helpful, and it really shows sort of the thoughtfulness that went into defining the plan. So our goal really is for this public input session is to have the public come in, hopefully have reviewed the plan beforehand, maybe come to the table with some questions, and or at least come to the meeting and listen to what we have to say, and then ask the questions there. If you think about a park and you think about how many people really are involved with the park, it's amazing. I mean, I know like your family has a history there. Your brother built the original skate shack, and I think
I built the skate shack.
Oh, you built the skate shack?
He built the gateway.
Okay, so and the gateway's still there. The skate shack didn't make it, but it wasn't your fault. It was more of a foundation issue than anything, because it's kind of a wet piece of property.
Well, I learned a thing or two about building.
But there's a lot of people that touch the park. So we, part of our process was reaching out to over 28 different community groups just to get their feedback on, do you use the park? How do you use the park? Would you ever use the park? What kind of improvements would you want to see? And so from all that data, we've really, I think we've tried to craft a plan that is a consensus plan that really provides improvements for the area that I think people will enjoy. So we're proud of it. The biggest piece of the plan is the renovation of the playground. The town DPW declared that the playground had reached the end of its usable life. It had about a 20 to 25 year usable life. So that was really the driving force behind founding the committee. So that's been really the main focus, and that's like 43% of our budget. So there's a big chunk of the budget that goes there.
Yeah, playgrounds aren't cheap, and I know. Well, one, I think it's time, and I think that it's well worth investing in Roberts Field or Friendship Park, however you want to define it. Varney Park already got their improvements. If you look at even the South Row School, they did a fundraiser for that. They redid that playground.
Right.
And I saw that you guys are going to be looking for, maybe different sources of funding for, getting this done. But I definitely think that they should look at, community preservation funds as possible, source of maybe redoing some of the park if that's possible. I don't know if that's been discussed, but.
Well, the goal right now is that we will finish up the plan. We'll have the public input session on June 20th. We have a site walk as well planned for Saturday the 24th, the following Saturday, a rain date of the 25th if it rains, knock on wood. And then we'll have a couple of meetings in between there, take a final vote on the plan, and then present it to the Board of Selectmen on the 31st. And then if the Board of Selectmen approves the plan, then the idea would be to take at least a component, however the town feels like they want to fund it, take a component of that to fall town meeting, probably with some funding through CPC funds. But I think realistically, when you look at the price tag, it's going to probably need to be funded over several different years. So,
Right.
But I think, when you look at the different parts of the plan, I think that it kind of makes sense to do it that way. I mean, we've got, one of the things that we have in the plan is a proposal to dredge the pond. And the reason why we have that in the proposal, why we started to look at it, is because there was a lot of public feedback that said that the pond needed some maintenance. It's really shallow. I mean, it dried out completely last year, and it's dried out over the last few years. We got some feedback from a wetland scientist that, within 15 to 25 years, the pond's going to completely fill in and be covered with either algae or phragmites, which is sort of the reedy kind of grassy stuff that grows. Which, if that happens, the habitat obviously is a loss, but you also lose the skating facilities for the winter. So then that's going to completely change the dynamic of the field. So that's a big price tag to dredge, because you've got to deal with permitting and taking out a lot of materials. So that's $100,000 to $130,000 just to take care of that piece, right? But that's also something that could be, planned for, and budgeted for or paid for in a different fiscal year than the.
Yeah, but that's always been a big part of Winterfest, and it's really, I would consider it more of a community feature than anything. So I think it's worth doing. I mean, of anything. I mean, I might be impartial because I built a skaters pavilion there, but the reality is I do know a lot of people do like to bring their kids there.
Yeah.
It brings a great community feel, and I think if you look at that park as a whole, it services a large section of Chelmsford that is primarily families with children, and that park offers a lot for different people at different stages, whether it's playing soccer or baseball or going to the playground with their kids at an early age. It's a community feature that would be, well worth the investment, I think.
I think so, and that seems to be what I'm hearing from the community as well. Besides the park user survey that we conducted in January of 2016, the open space and recreation plan was getting updated recently, and we put together a survey for just open spaces in Chelmsford in general. And it was interesting because one of the questions was, which of these 10 open spaces do you regularly use? And Roberts Field was 4th on the list, above like Freeman Lake with Barney Park. So I mean, it's a well-used and well-valued gym, if you will, in Chelmsford, and I think it deserves preservation and improvement. I think, like you said, a lot of people do use it. From kids playing at the playground and parents taking that's how I first got introduced to it. To kids playing baseball, to kids playing soccer or lacrosse, to people walking their dogs, and now people walking on the nature trails. So, I think the plan, we've tried to address all of those different features and to do it in a way that is friendly to the neighborhood, because that's a really key important part, that the neighbors don't have to feel impacted by the improvements there. We want to maintain that neighborhood family-friendly theme that we all think of when we think of Roberts Field.
Right.
So.
Now you've already done some really cool stuff with it, because I've known it for a long time. But as you drive by, you create is it called Pollinator Park?
Yeah.
Or, it looks really good, and you've
Thank you.
got the benches and everything there. I assume that's all volunteer effort by people.
And really, but going back to the other conversation, a lot of the improvements that have happened at that park are really volunteer improvements. We've done a lot for the natural side of it, but I mean, over the years, there's been people that's how the improvements have happened. So we hope that as we roll the plan out, that we can really sort of shake the trees and find volunteers that are willing to take on these different types of projects. And that's one of the reasons why we included so much detail in the plan, so that if we're not able to fund everything up front, we can
Put the plan on the screen so people can see what we're...
great, yeah. So we can put this plan on a shelf, and then we can if we have a volunteer, if we have an Eagle Scout that wants to take on a particular project, we can have a list of all these different things that folks can take on and implement. So it's a it's a win-win. So, and it's a master plan. So it's really that drive and vision of what we think it makes sense for it. So.
The one feedback that I've heard from residents across the board is really trying to come up with some sort of public bathrooms, mostly because you get a lot of parents with very young children, and they're concerned about trekking far distances or not having any bathrooms where they've got these little kids that they really just have to be very attentive to. And so you do get a lot of families with young children, and that is a feature that I think has been just echoed to me by many.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because in the survey, the original park user survey, there were some features that people either said absolutely had to happen or absolutely couldn't happen, right? And bathrooms are one of those. And the reason was that people definitely, they said exactly what you just said. We need bathroom facilities there, but the people who were saying they didn't want bathrooms there, or they didn't want to see permanent structures there, because they felt like that was going to become a long-term maintenance issue and then a misuse issue. So we kind of struggled with that, but I think we found a good compromise in that we have a shade structure established closer to the playground. So currently there's that one porta potty that's over by Engine 3 by the fire station that is there sort of in the warmer months. It got expanded to be in the winter months somewhat, but it's mainly in the summer and the fall. So we've moved that location over to closer to the playground, adjacent to the parking lot, with a shade structure to give it a little comfort. And sort of a bench, and then that could be used as a changing table if a parent needed to do that, and then budgeted for 2 handicap-size accessible porta potties. So if you've got a couple of kids and you need to go to the bathroom, at least there's that space, and it's close enough to the playground where you can still kind of keep that eye, but you don't have the maintenance issues. You don't have to hire a full-time employee to not only open and close the bathrooms, but to clean the bathrooms. And if we did that, we couldn't. If we had the permanent structure, we couldn't keep the bathrooms open in the winter, which would be a big issue for the skaters in the winter. So
I think any bathroom solution is probably a good solution.
Yeah.
It's just not having it.
But we've got it there. Like I said, we really struggled with that, but I think that we found a good solution. So.
All right. Well, we've run out of time, but on June 20th, right?
Next Tuesday, June 20th, 7 p.m. at the Chelmsford Police Station Training Headquarters, and then at Roberts Field on June 24th, Saturday at 10 a.m. Meet at Friendship Park, and we'll walk around and just talk about the improvements.
Perfect. So, well, we appreciate it.